I want to talk about this because it's on my mind. Yesterday, Corissa made a post on Instagram talking about her frustrations with buying a house. We are in the process, and have been for months, of trying to purchase a home. And she talked about how capitalism sucked and just did kind of like a photo dump and mentioned that it feels like just a bunch of games. And for what? Because at the end of the day, we're all just like, not all of us, but we're just white people trying to purchase land that's not even ours. Some people responded to that post angry, questioning Carissa's motives for posting. I guess maybe the post came off as offensive to folks who can't buy a home. And I just want to provide a little bit more context here because I feel like Carissa's not given the opportunity to be a whole person because of her image, her brand, her presence on the internet is seen as like an influencer.
If you've wondered if you should get an adjustable base bed from Big Fig, I'll tell you, I can get my butt shaved better than anyone I know.
Who has all these privileges and is living a very fancy, rich life. And we have tons of privilege. I am more financially secure than I've ever been in my life. And she didn't grow up with riches. So we're trying to purchase this home without any family money, without any gifted money, without a huge savings. We're trying to do an FHA loan, and that is the type of loan for people with lower credit scores. So it's a type of loan to help people who are at a disadvantage try to get a house. For months now, Corissa has been under a microscope from the mortgage people who I thought we were all set and approved for this FHA loan. But every week they keep coming up with more and more things that she needs to prove from bank statements where the money came from or justify purchases. It has felt dehumanizing. They have not been kind to us. They have not communicated. Anytime she asks for clarity, they ghost us for a week. They've been treating us like we're a nuisance. We're supposed to close on this house tomorrow, and yesterday the lender asked us why we spent X amount of dollars over the last 6 months on food. It wasn't like we just told them a budget for food. It was like they went through our bank statements for the last year and totaled up the food-related charges and then asked us why we spent that much.
Okay.
You've got 17.5% in T-bills amortized over the fiscal year. Fortunately, funeral bouquets are deductible.
Here's the thing. If they were asking because they need to cover their ass to make sure it's not fraudulent, that's a bunch of malarkey because they have bank statements showing that our money has gone to DoorDash for the last fucking pandemic time.
Our money has gone to DoorDash for the last fucking pandemic time.
There is no reason to ask that other than to shame. We should not have to justify purchases, especially not ones about food. And whether or not they know we're fat, which they do, whether or not they are coming from a place of assuming that we're frivolous fatties, that is fatphobic. That is a fear of food, that is a fear of fat, that is a fear of gluttony. It's uncalled for and it's not part of their job. This process has been a detriment to Carissa's health. She is not well. She's not okay. I'm barely, I mean, I'm supporting her. I'm doing okay, but that's because I'm not the one under the microscope, because this bitch could not qualify for any loans.
This bitch could not qualify for any loans.
Capitalism is the problem. White supremacy is the problem.
White supremacy is the problem.
And we live in it. Not only are we sold an idea that we're supposed to want to pursue these things like buying a home, but it's so much more complicated than we're taught to want it, so that's why we do. It's actually that it makes more sense to own a home in this system than to rent out a space that does not have all the things that we need, that can change at any moment due to what the landlords want, that gives us no chance to make changes, to create the space that we want and need. I mean, we have goals of having a space that we can make ultra accessible for our mobility needs. And why is it not okay to bitch about how difficult this has been? Because capitalism pits us against each other, makes us critical of one another. You cannot win unless you were already born at the top. And if I've learned anything over the last few years of being with Corissa, where my life has drastically changed from living in poverty to no longer in poverty, there's a huge disparity between the 1% and all the rest of us, for sure. There's rich and poor in the black and white sense, for sure. The people that I thought were rich and had it all figured out and had it all easy, the people in my life that I knew that had more money than I do, they're not the 1%. They are still also under capitalism's chokehold. There are varying degrees to which disadvantage, discrimination, oppression occur. And while our experience is not the greatest suffering that's happening in the US, it's still a fucking problem. A final note is that Carissa's the most genuine herself person any given moment that I've ever met. When I think about how to respond to things because I want to make sure that I'm perceived a certain way, I remember Corissa just trusts herself. And she trusts that she can handle critique, and she trusts that she believes in her motives, and she just is who she is, and she's ready to hear feedback about it. And that's the kind of person that I want to be, is always me, and not always trying to be a perception of anything, but just to be me and be willing to handle the consequences, be held accountable, and or to stand by who you are. So I'm proud of her for sharing something really fucking vulnerable and hard. Not everything's coming easily to us. We don't have it all figured out. Just remember, it's fucking complicated. It's nuanced. There's levels, and we're all just trying to make it.